So this is the reason why I'm always talking to you guys about having clean air lines when you're doing any kind of painting, because you will trap moisture underneath the paint, and over time that moisture is going to try to come out of that panel. So this job was actually done at a shop, and they must have had dirty air lines when this job was being done. So we're going to go ahead and get this one handled at the shop. But that's why I always go over that with you guys, because you could spend all that money on the materials and your job will look beautiful, but after time that moisture is going to try to come out of that panel, and that's what we have here. So we're going to be having to strip it all the way down to the bare metal. And you guys see here when I showed you, it had little spots in circles. That's the moisture trying to come off that panel. So now what you have to do is strip it. So luckily this guy only had this problem on his trunk, but if you were to do your whole car and get moisture on it, that means you're gonna have to redo the whole job. So let's go ahead and get this stripped down. We're gonna handle it. We're gonna treat the metal because it does have a little bit of rust, being that this was all the way down on the metal. All right, so you see we have it all stripped down now to bare metal. We got everything off of this, and this did have one paint job on it, so they must have stripped this down when they did the paint job. And there is other things that can cause what that was, like leaving something out in the rain with a porous primer, or if something happened to get on that panel, like moisture, before the actual primer went on, or whatever way they did this job. So we are gonna be treating it now, and we're gonna be using this here wipe. This is an etch wipe. This eliminates etch primers, and what I like to do is put this on the night before. That way it's treated. It'll actually get rid of any surface rust, and then tomorrow I can come in and go ahead and move right into my epoxy primer. So I want to show you guys some of the things that we have around the shop so that you do not have the water in your air lines and you don't have this type of problem. And now you'll see how this will actually change the metal from what it was before. This will start treating this metal and doing what it needs to do, and you'll see how it'll discolor it, because that's what it needs to do to treat the panel. So I like this product. I've been using this now for a while, and I like to put this on anything bare, because you guys know here at the shop I like to go straight into the epoxy primer. That way I do not have to prime it and sand it. I can refine down the metal, hit it with this, and then move right into my epoxy and eliminate that step. And also, not only is it eliminating a step, but you're going to be putting down a better product by using the epoxy. So that is a direct to metal epoxy primer from PPG. And then you can move right into your base coat and your clears and have nice holdout and know that you're putting on a quality product, also while saving time. So now that we've got it white, we'll let that sit, and I'll show you guys some of the stuff that we have around here. That way you do not have anything in your airlines. All right, so this here is our compressor. This is what supplies air to the whole shop here. We have 2 motors as well as 2 electric motors. This is a double piston, and this here is a double piston. So once this pumps the air out, it fills it into the tank, and then on the bottom we do have an automatic release. This here will let the water out of the tank. That way it doesn't fill up every so often when it's on a timer. So after that, coming out of the lines, we have an oil separator. This here is made specifically for oil, and then we move right into our dryer. And what this is here is a refrigerant dryer that cools down the air and gets rid of any moisture, because when these compressors are working hard, they're getting hot and they're making water, and that's why you have the water in your airline. So you guys at the house that are really working them small compressors really hot, you're gonna get a lot of water in your lines, and without having the right stuff, you're gonna have it underneath the paint, and you might not even see it till later on, like this here trunk had the problem with. So this is just the first line of defense, and we do have other things. I'll take you in there now and show you that. All right, so you guys see what we have outside for our first line of defense. This here is another filter that we have that is designated strictly for the spray booth. So this one is another one for oil and water. So this will take the remaining amounts, if there ever was any. But like I said before, with that setup outside, we really do not have any moisture in our lines once we're in the shop. But we want to make sure that we have one more step for the spray booth. That way when we're applying our paint, there's no way that there's any water in the air lines, because what happens is you spray it through the gun and it mixes in with that paint, and then it gets trapped underneath the paint and there's nowhere for it to go but out. But it takes time for it to do its thing. Like you seen on that trunk, this guy had this car painted for years, and it probably got worse over time as it was trying to do its thing and rust that panel out. So you guys see we caught it in time. We really didn't have much rust, but you want to make sure when you're spraying something to have something like this in play. All right, so it's been overnight, and you can see here, I'll show you, it's got a rainbow effect where it's treated the metal and did its thing with that metal conditioner. So, and then what I'll do now is buzz this down one more time, because sometimes it'll pick up and treat that metal deep inside and leave some type of a residue on the top. So what I like to do now is buzz that down again with the 400, because I'm not relying on this for corrosion resistance. We are going to be hitting that with the epoxy primer. That's my favorite primer to use on bare metal, and I can go right into that with a sealer and then go right into the base coat. But we do have to get this color dialed in. This was a custom mix, so we do have the spoiler that was on it, and we're going to have to do something with that to get the color. That way we have a nice match for this customer. So all right, so as we were polishing up the wing, we noticed there is a little bubble on this here part. So this is not a rust problem. This could just be something that is going bad on this as well. This is a fiberglass, so, but we always want to give the customer the option. All right, so in the meanwhile, while we're waiting on the call back from the customer, I am going to go ahead and use the wing. If we were to paint it, you want to make sure you get your camera shot before you sand it, obviously. So let's go ahead and see what we get for a shot with this here color. And we'll go ahead and just apply it on here. You definitely want to make sure that you polish up the area that you're going to be shooting. That way the camera can see the color the best it can. That way you do not have any towel marks and sand scratches from washing the car. That will change the color. You want to have a nice crystal clear area. That way the camera can see the color the best that it can. So let's go ahead and take our shots, and then we'll see what we got for a reading. All right, so we went ahead and we installed the camera, hooked it up to the computer. Now we're gonna go over here to our area where it does the wrap and match. That's what it's called. And right here, you guys see we have a red. So being we don't have a code for this car, we're gonna go ahead and do it as a wild card, which means you're not gonna put in any type of code. You're just gonna run it and let the computer see what it sees on here. That way it'll give us something hopefully close with it. So if you have a paint code, you can put it in up here, and that'll help you out to know that the camera is actually seeing that color right. So here we go now. It looks like it's given us a Mitsubishi color that's a number 6. So a 6 isn't too bad. What I like to do is put the code in now that you have something to reference it, because it will not show you that screen that we usually have where it shows you the angles on it without having a paint code in it. So go ahead now and put in P19 as a little trick that I do, and it'll bring up hopefully something that we can look at to see if we're going to be able to compare what we have versus what this here will be. And it looks like it's probably going to go ahead and do that now for us, and that's going to be the prime that it's showing us. So it'll put the camera shot and it'll show right here what it's going to pick up for us that we're going to be able to mix. So we'll be able to flip it, see the angles on it. All right, so we do have to repair the spoiler. The customer reached back. You guys know it's never a good time. We do have that in the booth. We happen to notice this now. I'm going to go ahead and knock it out quick. That way we're able to get this one finished up. So let me show you guys the spot real quick. Right there is a little bubble. It looks like it was nicked and maybe water got underneath it. So hopefully there's not too much going on with this and I can knock it down quick and get it in the booth there with that load, because we're locked and loaded, ready to shoot that trunk. And now we got to get this prepped out. So we got to get it in and out quick so we can keep moving. All right, let's go ahead and apply our waterborne primer. And this is what a 1.0, I like to use the small gun. It puts down a thinner coat, it lets it dry quicker, and then we'll blow dry it in between the coats to get this job done that much quicker. All right, you guys see how quick that waterborne primer is? I love this stuff. It does not shrink. Once it's dry, it's done. It's not gonna react to nothing because it isn't a solvent-based product. So you guys see it had a lot of paint jobs on it. This stuff won't wring out and won't wrinkle any of the edges because it's not aggressive. So once it's flashed off, you scuff it down and you're ready to go in the booth. We're gonna go ahead and just run over this in case it had any overspray. And then we'll get it blown off on a stand and we'll wipe it down out here. That way we do not have to worry about having any dirt or having to clean it again in the booth, because the booth is ready to roll. And now we're not really behind. We took about 10 minutes to fix this job, make it right, and make sure that this customer is gonna be happy once he gets this job. So let's go ahead and get it blown off and back in the booth. All right, so we've got our red applied now. You guys see we did 2 spray out cards. One with the sealer that we're putting on the parts, and then one with all the different shades of the sealers. That way we can see how well that color covers. You wanna make sure that you know how many coats it's gonna take to cover it. You still might be able to match that color up by not having full coverage, but you wanna keep that in mind, because if you do not have the right ground coat underneath that color, your color will never match, especially when it's something like that that is very transparent. So I like to spray that to see how many coats I know is in the ballpark for coverage over the black and the gray. I can usually guesstimate if I put that amount on the right color sealer, I'm gonna have a match. So we're gonna go ahead and put a couple more coats on. We do have the rear back license plate panel that we're still gonna be able to match up to that trunk. That way we know our color is still good. So I thought we only had the spoiler, but now we're painting the spoiler. Hopefully when we get over to that rear panel, there's nothing wrong with that, because I want to have the original color going back on there so I know it matches, because we do not have the car here. They've dropped off just the trunk, so we have to get it dialed in what we have. So let's go ahead and finish this thing up. All right, so let's bake it and then we'll get it out. We'll build it, we'll put everything back on it, and then we'll check out the color and see how it matches up. So I think the job came out nice. I'm thinking that this trunk might be outshining the rest of the car, but we'll see. I don't know if we can get the owner to give us a picture later on, and we can send it back on YouTube as a post and show you guys the trunk on the vehicle. But let's bake it and let's get this thing done. All right, so that was definitely a good case of showing you guys one that has a reaction from the moisture. So I've talked to you guys about it before, and who wants to do all that work doing a paint job and then having something like that happen about 6 months later because you had dirty airline? So to you guys at the house, if you do not have good refrigerant dryers, check out some of the 2K cans that have the activated primers as well as clear coats. And Eastwood is coming out now with their OEM Select paint that is matching the OEM finishes for you guys with your cars in the spray can. That way now you can use the spray can for the base coat, the spray can for the primer, and the spray can for the clear and get a decent job. But if you're gonna be doing more spraying, you're gonna wanna look into getting something like a refrigerant dryer and some other filters. That way you're gonna have no moisture, because who wants to do something like that on their car and spend all that time and money, and then in 6 months you have a big reaction like that and you're stripping that car back down again. So Harbor Freight does make a good unit. You can't pick it up at the store, you got to go online, and I've used that unit for many years and it works very well. So it's about $500, and then you'll get a couple other filters before and after the refrigerant dryer, and you will not have any problems. So that trunk was done at a legit shop. So I know they had refrigerant dryers, but sometimes you'll have problems with those units and you won't know it for weeks, and you'll spray the jobs and you'll keep going through your jobs, and then all of a sudden someone will notice that that dryer is not working, and then they fix it. But in that window that you didn't have it working, you can have problems like that. So I just wanted to show you guys this one. I've been very busy here at the shop trying to get all this work done, but I wanted you guys to see what can happen if you have dirty lines, and you won't see it right away, you'll see it after time. So make sure you check out the community post. Let me know what Iwata you guys want to get. I see a lot of you guys want the clear gun. That's the one I would pick as well. Check it out, and in a couple of days we're going to go ahead and announce how you're going to win that gun. And I hope you guys like this one, and we'll see you on the next one.